We're live.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good people. It's your boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., and we are at another session of the Black Professional Men's General Body Meeting. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, those that are watching virtually, and then those that have joined us here on the live meeting stream here. We want to thank everybody for coming on in. As you all know, we are here every second Wednesday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m. Black professional men whose mission is to ensure the future of the African American male. So we want to welcome everybody to the live stream. And you know how we do. We usually start off with a opening word of prayer, and then we will get into our introductions and then give you some information about Black professional men as a whole. So if you don't mind, we will start off with the word of prayer. And we will start off. Heavenly Father, we ask that you come with us, and we thank you for allowing us to be able to make it through another month. Thank you for allowing us to be able to be 3 years into 2022 in the midst of a pandemic. We thank you for all of us that are able to join tonight. We ask that you be with us and allow us to be able to have conversations that progress us, that grow us, and that educate us, activate us, and elevate us. We thank you for being with us. We thank you for those that will be joining us. We thank you for the message that will be given tonight. We thank you for the speakers that will come and be able to talk to us about wealth building, not just in a financial sense, but in a spiritual sense, and a mental sense, and a health sense. All of those aspects of building wealth and creating wealth building strategies. We just thank you. We praise you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So I'm gonna do this a little, I'm gonna switch the agenda for tonight. Instead of starting with the introduction, I wanna do the, let's do the introduction first. And then we'll go into, I'll talk about Black professional men, and then I will have, we have a short video that we're gonna be showing before we get started and everything. So we wanna thank everybody for joining us. And we can go around just really quickly. If everyone just kind of wants to introduce themselves, say who they are, what you do, and then just a little something about you with Black that has to do with Black professional men. So I will start with let's start with you, Shadi, because I know your time is really short here. So I'm gonna have you go. Okay, go first.
Shadi Glazer, and I am the product of family and entrepreneurship, born into a family of small business owners and with the do for self mentality. And so I serve as the chapter chair for SCORE Greater Baltimore, youngest chapter chair in the country. Also Goldman Sachs alumni, 10,000 small businesses, and now serve as the ambassador. As far as what I do for a living, I help small businesses with understanding their intellectual property. I help them develop it, and to partner with agencies, universities, and corporations through the magic of content licensing. I serve as the partnership chair for Black professional men, and it's a pleasure to connect with you all.
Absolutely, and I will stay up top here, and the brother to my other side, brother from another, Mr. Terrence Dixon. You want to introduce yourself to everyone? Oh, you're on mute.
Hey, peace, family. Good evening. Terrence Dixon, Terra Cafe. A lot of people know me as, but then also one of the things that has really grown in this whole period of time, the last few years, it's Terra Loft Consulting. So we're a technical assistant, really showing business how to get the right business structure and set up that legacies. You know, those things that we really pass on that mean something for us, and not having to wait 3 to 4 years, but really getting it done now. So that's good evening, everybody.
Cool. We're gonna drop down to Brother Everett.
Good evening, kings and queens out there. Everett Smith, and I want to welcome everyone to our meeting. And I am the BPM secretary, also internet marketer, a photographer, other all type of businesses. And thank you so very much for your time.
Cool. And to the queen in the middle, she smack dab in the middle. You want to introduce yourself, young lady?
Hello, everyone. I am Chanel Simmons. I'm the founder and CEO of Nell Tax and Financial Solutions, where I help individuals and businesses protect their assets, particularly from the Internal Revenue Service, and to learn how to use taxes to further build their wealth.
Love it, love it. She's the money woman. Brother Carl, you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening. Carl Hunt. I am president of Black Trivia Network, LLC. We do basically specialize in Black history trivia games in person. You can play, I got products that you can play at home. I have products that you can play on your phone. So anywhere that you want your Black history, I can provide it. Also, I am a DJ and my wedding season is kicking in, thank God. And based on the gray hair, you know I'm an old school type of guy. Absolutely. And I'm a long time BPM from back in the 90s.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's start with Brother Victor, and then we'll go with our president, Brother Hassan.
All right, my name is Victor Ferguson. I am the project manager of Pathways to Excellence as a new thing. So I like spending time with the youth. I have an organization called Optimal Wellness Community, where I build communities, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. But I'm from Augusta, Georgia, been in Baltimore about 3 years. So it's been an honor of connecting with people in BPM and just around Baltimore City to help, help make the change that they know needs to be done, and we know needs to be done for our people. Yep.
Absolutely. And Mr. President?
How you doing? Hassan Diggs. I've been a member of BPM since 2013, and I am the Tommy of the organization. People don't even think I have a job or or anything, but I'm the #1 employee for Blondie's Donuts, and I do IT project management for a living.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So absolutely. So thank you everybody for introducing yourself, and tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do. Now let me, for those that may be watching and not familiar with who we are as Black professional men, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based here in Baltimore, Maryland, established in 1991. BPM members serve as mentors and as role models for younger African-American men, primarily in and around the Baltimore metro region. Our members are also active in other mentoring programs, conduct speaking engagements across the state, and serve on nonprofit boards aimed at helping develop the African-American community. We attempt to instill a sense of pride in our mentees to be strong African-American men. We work to make positive changes in their lives, both in school and in the community, in an effort to prepare them to take advantage of life's opportunities. And our mission is to secure the future of the African-American male. And we do that by doing a number of things in the community, for the community, and about the community. Now, the next thing that I want to do, we have a short video because our topic that we're going to be kind of discussing tonight, or our theme, is wealth building strategies. What are you building in 2022? So we have a short little video that we wanted to show that kind of will take us into what we're going to be covering this evening. So Shadi, if you have that queued up.
What's the point of putting wheels on a car and the frame is not solid? What is the point of racking up all this money, getting this bag, but you mentally cannot handle it. I remember the first time I made $100,000, man. And I share this story regretfully. I share this story and it frustrates me. I'll never forget. I was selling cars and I was, y'all can tell I love to talk. And so talking to people and convincing people to buy cars was easy, right? I could sell a Honda Accord with a bad engine in it and have you thinking this is a brand new Honda. I remember the first year I sold cars, I made $120,000. This next year I made $140-something thousand. And year three, unfortunately that car business went out. And I'll never forget, we were in there selling the cars and the people came and they took all the keys from us in the middle of the day. And all of us are sitting like, yo, what's happening? What's going on? Like in the middle of the day, we show up to work, we're selling cars. By lunchtime, all the keys have been seized. Because at that time, the particular owner of that particular dealership wasn't doing things right. And unfortunately, we all lost our job. I went home and I went to my savings account, I went to my checking account, and to that, I had to the T, $1,200 in my account. $1,200 in my account. I'm living in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My rent was only like $750. But I would get my check, and I'll be honest with you all, man, I'm just being transparent. You know, I was paying off my debt, but then when I was paying off my debt, right, I was spending money on ladies. I was spending money on friends. I was spending money. Can I just be real with you all? This is my show. I'm gonna be real. This is a real, relevant, and relatable show. I'm just gonna be real, okay? I'm gonna be real. I would take that money and go to the strip club. And I remember one time I went to the strip club and I dropped like $2,000 in one night. Foolish, just straight foolish. I remember one time, me and my boys, we all went out to Las Vegas and we just dumped so much money. And I remember going home and I called my dad. My dad said, son, how are you making $10,000, $12,000 a month and you don't have any money? Son, you about to file for unemployment? And at the time, unemployment was like $525 a week. I went from making $12,000 a month to $2,000 a month. And my dad said something to me that was so real, it just stuck with me. He was like, son, you don't have a money problem. You have a mindset problem. Because you were making the money, but you didn't build a solid foundation. And my dad's like, I'm sorry. I don't know where I went wrong. I was single and no one really told me, here are the things you need to focus on being while you're single. I was just told, yo, get the money, get the bag, and then press the ladies, and you'll be all right. Blend in with culture. But no one told me to chase God. No one told me, to really, really focus on you and build you. No one told me to go seek therapy so you can see why you think the way you think. No one told me, hey, build the right network around you. Get around some solid people who will stretch you, who would encourage you. No one told me the things that I needed to work on to maximize my single season. Everyone was just get her and get the bag. Before you could do anything with money, you gotta shift your mindset. And not just a mindset around money. It's your mindset around life. When is the last time you saw a therapist? When is the last time you sat down with someone and said, hey, this experience that I experienced, can you help me walk through that? When is the last time you actually been in a healthy relationship? Ooh, I'm about to go deeper. I'm just going to hold it. It's my show. It's all good. The reason why some of us are not in a happy and healthy relationship is not because of them. It's because of us. It's because we haven't spent the time to sit down and to really, one, focus on us, and then two, get help, get wisdom from someone else to help us understand, to really think about some of the things I have experienced. You know, I have 4 living parents, and I won't go I won't go too deep into this because I want to be respectful to my family. But I identified after going to therapy why I wasn't in a relationship, because of some things that I experienced at a younger age. Nothing wrong, nothing physically from my parents. My parents are great parents. But there are some things that I needed to talk through, that I saw, that I experienced at a young age, that made me think things differently. And so when I really walked through that process with a therapist, man, I started seeing things clearer. So now when I go into a relationship, I'm not blaming that person, I'm blaming me, and I know what I need to be working on. Now that I'm able to make the money that I'm able to make, now I understand, okay, Anthony, if you think like this will help you to avoid making bad money decisions with your money. But I had to really get help. One, I had to really focus on things during my single season. Then two, I talk about this inside of my course called The Core. I had to build my core. Not just your mind, but I had to go down deep into me and focus on, okay, how do I build the core? The core is what we all stand on. The core is what keeps this body from really breaking down when we're working out, when we're running, when we're going through a lot physically, because the core is the foundation. So I had to really focus on my core. And some of you all are not focusing, and you don't even know who you are at your core. So 2 things. If you really want to get there, and if you're single and you're watching this, number 1, you need to join my course, because I even go deeper and I'll walk you through a process on how to really get to your core, how to really understand who you are at your core. Number 2, you need to rock with BetterHelp. BetterHelp has partnered with me to really help people get into therapy at an affordable cost. You get 10% off just by clicking my link. Go to anthonyoneal.com/BetterHelp. Listen, this year, I'm bringing you resources and tools that's going to help you avoid making mistakes this year. That's going to help you maximize this year, 2022. You need to rock with BetterHelp, and you need to get inside of my course, because I got so much more we're going to really dive into to help shift this mindset, period. And we're talking about things that has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with getting out of debt, but it has everything to do with getting out of debt, getting money, building wealth, starting a business, because it starts on the inside. So come join a community of people, And we're all going to hold each other's hand, and we're going to walk through this process together. I'm feeling good right now. I got a couple more, and then I'm gonna let
that's just part of that video. By those that are not familiar with Anthony O'Neal, that brother is way deep. And when I saw this particular video that he did, I was like, oh, this is a great way to start off this evening. And if you want to see the full video, the title of it is called 5 Money Habits That Are Holding You Back from Building Wealth. It's 5 money habits that are holding you back from building wealth. And it's by Anthony O'Neal. And he goes into a whole, he talks about a whole lot of things that have to do with our mindset and how we deal with not just building wealth, but dealing with who we are as people, and looking at how we use credit card debt, and how we just talk about finances. But it's more than, as he said, it's more than just money. And to me, when we were talking about this tonight, wealth is more than just about our finances. It has to do with are you wealthy in your mindset? Are you wealthy in your health? Are you healthy? Are you wealthy in your business? Are you wealthy in your family? All of those different aspects are part of what wealth is. So when we talk about wealth tonight, it's not just finances, brothers. It's not just finances. It's not just money. We want you to be wealthy in all aspects of your life. So that's what we're going to be touching on tonight. But we just wanted to start this evening off with that video that that I believe is so powerful. So next that we have our book review that we talk about. As you all know, Black Professional Men has a book club. We have a book club. We have a book club that we have, and we discuss different books each month to be able to give us topics and different things. And Brother Rashad is the head of the book club, and we have each month, we have him coming. We do a review, and then he gives us the book that we have for the next month that we're going to be reading. So is Brother Rashad there? Because I know he was here, Shadid. I don't see him though, unless I missed him. Because I thought I saw him.
He's here. Yes,
Oh, okay.
he's here. Yes.
Okay, cool. Ah, there he is. Okay. Brother Rashad. The mic
Good
is yours,
evening.
brother.
Hey, good evening. How's everyone doing this evening?
Good.
All right. So this month's book is Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. This book is about basically learning the fundamentals of using insurance, whole life insurance, to finance your dreams, your goals, and preserve wealth for your family. And keeping with this month's theme, building wealth, the book discusses a concept called infinite banking, which some may be familiar with, some may need to learn. But the book was an awesome book, and just teaching how you would take the proceeds from a life insurance policy, be able to borrow against those proceeds if you are an entrepreneur, to finance some of the things that you would like to see done, and basically using the principles of life insurance to live out your dreams, basically.
Hey, Rashad.
Hey,
where's the where can people find the reading list?
we should have it posted on the website. If it's not posted right now, we will make sure it's posted by the night. That works.
Okay. All right. And so then, I'm just asking these questions because I know these are what everybody is thinking. And so
Right.
people will be able to go through how far back of our reading list?
At least 2 to 3 years. This book club's been around for 2 to 3 years, so it's been around for a while.
Okay. All right.
Now Rashad, for the books, and I just kind of realized this, and I don't know how I had thought about it before. For those that may not be able to read the physical books, because I found the 50 Cent book was on audio. It was audio. I pulled it up on YouTube, and was able to listen to it on audio. And so for those that may not be able to physically sit and read, the books, you can also grab the audio book, and libraries have them as well. But I happened to find it on YouTube. Let me see if it's on YouTube. And I was able to pull it up on YouTube. So you can also check and see if these books are available in audio form. And it makes it easier for those that want to listen to the audio and may have time to listen to it, but not necessarily sit and actually read. So with that.
YouTube University. You're correct, Leroy.
Yeah, so that's great. Can you get the title of the book one more time?
Once again, it's called Becoming Your Own Banker.
Oh, who's the author again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
R. Nelson Nash.
That's our next book, and you want to tell everyone when the book club actually meets as well?
Book club meets every first Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. Next month's book is the 5 a.m. club. So we will be discussing that next month.
Oh, okay.
And the 5 a.m. club is a very awesome book. And to me, it's probably one of the best books I've read in the last couple of years. It's a life changer. Practice the things that they teach in the book.
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So we have those, and as everybody knows, or I put out the challenge this year. They say if you read 20 minutes a day for a year, you will have read an average of about 30 books in a year. 20 pages a day. That's it. 20 pages a day, and you will have read, they said, an average of maybe of about 30 books in that year. Maybe some more, maybe some less, depending on how big the books are that you're reading. But the average will be about 30 books, and just how far ahead you will be of everyone else, because they say the average person only reads maybe one book a year.
Right. And so Leroy,
Can you put that in the chat?
listeners,
The books, can you put the book titles in the chat?
I can. The other thing is we're like 60 days into the year with 300 days left. Definitely, I challenge everyone to one, participate in the book club, and also two, to challenge yourself to read more books, no matter what your profession or what you do in life. Read more. And I will be putting those books in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, it is a reading books or listening to books is a game changer. No matter who you are, it will literally change your life. So thank you for that, Rashad. We thank you for that. Yeah, and if you can put the book information in the chat, that'd be awesome. That'd be really great.
Now, hey, if you could keep in mind that you don't have to have read the book to participate in the session. And so, you can come and just observe, because the dialogue that the brothers will have is going to change your life. It's going to change your life. It's going to give you an interesting, a dynamic insight just on different things. Now, it may motivate you to actually read the book, or not, but you're going to take some kind of action just by being there around these positive men.
Absolutely. I love that. Nothing like brothers coming together to actually discuss books and reading and empowering each other to read. So, Rashad, again, thank you for that. And we're gonna move next segment of the evening. This young lady here. I was introduced to her through Brother Brian Olds from the Black Speakers Network, and she has been a joy to actually just converse with and have a discussion, because we talked about what we're going to be doing this evening, and she has been chomping at the bit to come and talk about this. She says she loves having discussions about building wealth building strategies. So I'm not going to delay. I want to give her all the time she needs. I'm gonna let her introduce herself to everyone, and if you could just tell everybody just a little bit about you and that powerful resume that you have and bio that you have. I can say resume, say bio that you have, and then the floor is yours. To some, y'all may already know her, but she is Miss Chanel Simmons. She's a financial consultant, amongst other things, and I'll let her tell you the rest of it. So the mic is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leroy. How are you? How is everyone? So I am, first and foremost, I am a Baltimorean, and I am a girl who basically wants to see everyone win. I really do. I have a heart for those who have small businesses and are entrepreneurs, simply because I know those are the folks who had a dream and they dared to make good on that dream and go forward in that action. So I'm always rooting for the underdog, if you will. And I used to be a former IRS revenue agent. So I always do things via a tax lens simply because that is one area of finance that a lot of people tend to either overlook. There's a lot of fear over it, or there's a lot of misinformation about it. And it's an important part of wealth. It's a small slither of wealth, but it's definitely an important part of wealth. And during COVID, I definitely saw its impact on many individuals and businesses in various ways, from estates to investing to seeing leaseholders basically, having to figure out what they're going to do because their tenants are unable to pay, all things. So when you see the reverse side of the coin, it's like, oh my. And it's definitely a part that I feel is so important in the narrative of your wealth story. The thing that I find most folks are fearful of when it comes to the IRS, and I think the biggest misunderstanding is that the IRS is solely out to get you. And they're just out to, just make your life miserable, and they're trying to trick you and et cetera. And that's truly not the case. 9 times out of First and foremost, everyone is actually audited. I do want to make a point of that. Everyone actually goes through kind of a mini audit when you first file your return, because it's matching all the information that you put on that tax return. And it comes back and basically says, it spits out and say, what is or isn't on there. And if you end up owing, there's ways to mitigate that, even if you right now aren't making your desired income. A lot of folks think, I'm not at a point where I can afford to talk to someone about it, but that's exactly what you should do. You should always, we just watched the wonderful video about changing your mindset about money. And one of the things that you definitely need to do when it comes to taxes is start planning before filing season. Like right now, we're square dead in the middle of filing season, and people are starting to have conversations now about decisions that they made last year. And it should be the reverse. It should be right now, they should be having conversations about things they either plan to do later this year or things that they plan to do next year or 2 years from now. Because then, we can look at upcoming tax laws or anything that's already been pushed through and actually try to plan accordingly to mitigate your risk of possibly owing, right? The other mindset shift I want for everyone here to be in attendance of about taxes, owing, and what does that look like when it comes to your wealth. When it comes to like retirement and such, that is a wonderful way to lower your tax rate now. However, there are other ways that you can lower your taxes where you can actually benefit from the income now versus having to wait for retirement, because retirement age is like, starts at like 59 and a half at the earliest. And, for those of you who may not be there yet, that could take a very long time before you can actually recoup some of your wealth. And then even then, you'll still have to pay taxes at a later time. So what could have possibly been done is that money could have been invested, could have earned you money instead, or it could have went into something that's an income generator, such as like a business or a property that you hold on for a few years and then decide to either flip it or turn it into a rental, avoiding taxes, but also generating wealth. And then, you're reaping the benefits of all of that now. So this is not to say not to save for retirement. You definitely should, but you also should always consider ways that you can also benefit from your money now and start amassing wealth now. So that way you're getting money today and later. So that's another thing that I find a lot of people don't have that honest conversation when it comes about retirement accounts. They're just so quick to just say, throw you into a retirement account, talk about the fact that it saves you tax dollars today, but they don't mention that, when you take the money out later, you will be, not unless it's a Roth account, you'll be paying taxes later too. So there's that. Another part that I want to talk about as well from a tax lens is when it comes to you and sharing your wealth with your relatives and such, as far as estates. I talked about COVID and kind of its change and impact on, I know this that I saw with my clients and such. And like here in Maryland, Maryland typically has rules where, you know, it's very easy when you're exchanging property from, yes, becoming your own banker. And so it's very easy to exchange property with your spouse or your children. But if you have like other people that you wanted to give your money to, Maryland as a state will tax you at a lower rate. So like it could be like, I believe it's like $1,000 or so, they will start to tax you if you decide to give it to like a niece or a nephew or someone along those lines. So making sure we get our wills in order, making sure we're putting beneficiaries onto our accounts, because probate will eat up, and that's when it goes to the court, so much of your wealth, right? We always talk about generational wealth, and putting together a will, you know, no one wants to think about the end game, but we have to start really putting our hearts and our thoughts into action. We talk about wanting to make sure there's money for later and for legacy, but we don't truly put the things in action for there to be money for a legacy simply by putting together a will or going to our local banks, like and making sure that it's updated. And gentlemen, I will say, and ladies as well, if any ladies are listening, I've witnessed firsthand, unfortunately, men will die and they leave their ex-wife on those bank accounts. And or you know, and what ended up happening was, because of the fact they had not updated that information, the money went from, you know, what should have been their current spouse to their ex-spouse, because that's who was listed. So we have to not only make sure when we do it, but it be in a habit to make sure you regularly check it if you need to regularly check it, or when you have major life events, such as when you have a new child, or you know, you have a relationship change, you make sure you update those records as well. It's so important, because you don't want all of your hard work to go to places where you don't desire for them to go, right? Or to at least include everyone that should be included, because I've also witnessed siblings be upset because the youngest wasn't included, or not all siblings were included, just maybe the eldest was. So we have to start being very mindful when we talk about legacy, making sure that we are actually doing legacy. And again, this goes back to being okay for asking for help. We don't know what we don't know. So make sure that you just check in for help, And there, trust me when I tell you, there's always help available to you. Don't ever feel like because you weren't raised a certain way, or those discussions weren't had in your home, that it's too late for you. You can have them now. There's plenty of people available to have those talks with you and talk about it. For those of you who are well-to-do and you know you've had these kind of conversations, try to think sometimes outside the box. I know sometimes what ends up happening is we always hear about cryptocurrencies, we hear about, you know, the stock markets, we'll hear about real estate, but then we forget about just some of the other easy ways that we can also generate wealth, like reinvesting back into ourselves, reinvesting back into our neighborhoods by purchasing properties, and not necessarily maybe turning into rentals, but you know, I have an extra home, let me give that one to my child so that way they wouldn't have to worry about having a mortgage, right? So there's other ways to do it too. We always talk about, you know, just generating wealth and just millions and millions and millions, but there's other ways in the sense of just making sure that when we make our purchases and we decide to reallocate our money, that it could also benefit others in our family, our neighborhoods and communities. We can donate to, I'm a firm believer in being our brothers and sisters keepers. You could easily be your friend or someone in your neighborhood's investor and literally just say, hey, here's $5,000 for that truck that you need. So that way you can start building on your fleet. And, get it in writing. I am a firm believer in trying to get it in writing. If you decide to do it as a loan for them to pay you back. But we could easily do that. You hear all the time of people working with one another to purchase their very first property that they decide to flip. We have to get back to thinking outside of the box sometimes. It's wonderful when we can go through the traditional ways, the mainstream ways, but there's also wealth in the unconventional ways as well. And it's all okay. It's okay if you don't decide to be only an entrepreneur, right? Sometimes people shun when they say, they're like, oh, you work, well, you should just be, you could be both. There's tons of folks who have jobs and they have businesses as well. And I've heard several of the gentlemen who are on here state that they do, that they have, their working job, and they also have several businesses that they're involved in. And there's a lot of people right now who make millions of dollars who operate the same way. They may work for someone, they may be on the board of some other company that's not theirs per se, but they also have businesses on the side as well. So I just say all that to tell you that money is made in so many ways. And honestly, the best way to honestly make money is to honestly have multiple streams of money coming in different ways. Be creative. Sure. I said, may I ask a question? Sure.
All right. So my question is, what is the gateway opportunity for somebody to get on track to do the things that you're mentioning?
So I would say the first thing that someone would need to do to get on track is to first I would say, look at where you are in the sense of your overall goals, like outside of money. And the reason why I say it that way is because if your overall goal is that I just want to have free time to only work maybe 3 days out of the week, I want to have 4 days out of the week where I don't work. Like that's my goal in life. Now
I'm talking about like the gateway, right? Because
okay,
so many times in our community, we say, build the mountain.
Gotcha.
But nobody says where to get the dirt from.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so first and foremost, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your expenses, right? Look at your expenses. I would say I will start there. I will look at seriously.
That's one. So right. Create a budget.
No, not a budget.
No.
I'm not saying a budget. I'm saying create a spending plan. And the reason why I'm going to say create
spending plan. All
and
right.
The reason why I'm going to say create a spending plan and not a budget is because what we're not trying to do is limit you to say that this is the only amount of money that you're going to make. You're going to literally sit down and state, okay, these are the things that I need, right? These are the things that I want. And if the things that you want exceed how much you make, now we're going to look at the other side of the pendulum and we're going to sit down and we're going to now say, yes. Now we're going to sit down and now say, okay, how can I do this? I always put the first challenge of in 10 days. If I had 10 days right now, what could I do in 10 days first to try to make make some of this happen. And what I would first do is I would, if you're an employee, if you haven't had that conversation with your boss or whatever, maybe it's time to have that conversation to see if that's possible. But then also too, what could you honestly sell today? Because a lot of folks, seriously, a lot of folks will say, I'm really good at coaching. I'm really good at, I may have some books that I already have, but they haven't really pushed them. Or they may have a product that they sell, but they haven't really pushed them.
Right, but we want to break this down as if you're talking to a 2-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I want to say that is because our counterparts are taught at 2 to do these things. So we wasn't taught yet, we're at the level of a 2-year-old. Okay. So sometimes we need to break it down to the elementary level to have it easierly digested, right?
No worries.
So if we're saying, okay, the spending plan, which is great, because I think the spending plan is a lot more digestible than a budget, because I think a budget is intimidating.
Right.
So what's the second chunk? What's the second, fork I'm picking up?
Okay. So then the second fork, like I said, that you're picking up is you're looking for the ways that you're going to make, like I said, you're first going to figure out how much you need, right? Or to cover the things that you want. That's what the spending plan is, right? So the second fork, if you will, is now you're trying to figure out how I'm going to get that. And the reason why I was just breaking it down just now to say, check off your boxes that's immediately available to you first, because sometimes, what lifestyle do you want to live exactly? Because sometimes some of the things that are readily available to you, a lot of people don't think about that. So what I was getting at, so first one would be is if you're a worker and it's been a minute since you've asked for a raise, ask to talk with your boss to make that conversation happen. If you are self-employed or have a way to make a self-employed income in any kind of way, whether it's via a service or a product, and you haven't really been pushing it the way you could, that's another way. The third way that you could possibly do this is look at literally anything that's around you in your household, right? And if you can sell it, sell it. If it's like I'm literally talking about right now to like bring in immediate money. Now, this is immediate, like right now, today. This is not long term.
Wouldn't that be something you do if you're having a challenge? Like if you're having financial challenges, and you need money, is that something you would do, or is you telling everybody go in your house and just sell what you don't need? I'm just asking.
Yes, if you don't need it and it could be an income generator, why wouldn't you sell it? Because now what happens is you have the money now. In addition to because I'm talking about someone, because you're saying basically like at this point, if I'm talking to a 2-year-old, this is someone I'm expecting that does not have anything in order and they're starting at the ground level, ground zero.
Well, no, so I'm thinking, and I think this is a great dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm thinking that if I'm a 2-year-old and I brought some video games and I go sell those video games, and now I got the money back. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go buy some more video games.
No, and that's
no. I'm just saying, like, if that's what I know now, like you just told me, like we're talking in baby steps. So people who's listening to this, right? Mm-hmm. You want to give them breadcrumbs of how they want to do it, right? So what do you think about this here, right? What do you think about with the spending plan? What if they don't change their spending habits, but just observe it and then be able to analyze it? What do you think about that?
That's the long-term plan. But what I was getting to is step 3, nugget 3, if you will, is going to be you have immediate money now, an immediate increase, right? And we already know what you're going to be spending. And and you decided this is what I'm going to spend or whatever, right? So this is where we have to go back to, I get what you're saying, where I just want to buy more video games. But this is where we're going to now go back to with a 2-year-old. This is why I say you honestly need to figure out some things, because just monitoring what you're spending, that's wonderful, because this is why budgets don't work. Monitoring what you're spending, that's all well and good. But at the same time, if you're just looking at it and you don't have a goal, then what's the point? And the same thing of, yes, you sold some things and you got extra cash, but just like you said, with a 2-year-old or anyone, if I have additional money and I don't have a goal, what's the point? So the third point is that you look at your spending, you know, this is where you want, how you want the lifestyle you want for right now, and maybe what you desire for your future, right? For your immediate future. You've got some additional cash, wonderful. But now the thing that you really have to consider at this point is, what do you want the next year, few years from now? And honestly, your overall life goal, like, if you can think that far. And if you don't want to think that far, then that's fine, because I know not everyone have their whole life figured out or have a like that far vision, but I would say at least 5 years, right? And what do you want? Or what are some of the things that you just desire and or enjoy? And see, that's the problem. I feel like a lot of us as Black folks in general, men and women, we have a hard time just figuring out what, or even allowing ourselves to entertain, what do I want? And I think that's where the struggle is.
I look at that, right? And I think about myself, right? And you know, before I started getting my education, I didn't understand that my life is a business and I need to run my life as a business, right? But the advice I was given before then was, find somebody who's doing what you want to do that's 10 years older than you. And then or find somebody that's doing what you're doing that's 10 years older, and that's you, right? Go ahead.
That's what you, listen to what you just said, what you want to do. So it's literally what I just said. You got to figure that out.
No. So there's a point to that. There's a point to that, right? So in our community, we're most likely, if you're positive and you're doing something, you're the trailblazer. So you don't have examples to follow.
True.
Whereas in the counterparts, they're second and third generations of that.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm just doing what my grandfather did. You know, my grandfather, he went to this college. My dad went to this college. I'm gonna go to this college, right? My great granddad bought a house when he was 22. My great granddad bought a house when he was 22. My granddad bought one when he was 22. My dad bought one when he was 22. I'm 21. What am I doing next year? I'm buying a house, right? We don't have that in our community. So there's a lot of trial and error, but there's a lack of trust that doesn't allow us the ability to map out the best way to go forward, you know, without really knowing what's that best way.
And I could agree to that. I really can, because I know for some people that, you know, given, you know, just circumstances and whatever they have as their template, basically, they may feel like options are limited, or like you're saying, I'm gonna just do what I know, basically. I'm gonna do what I saw, I'm gonna do what I've been exposed to. So I get that. However, I do believe what ends up happening is, in this situation, the person is basically at this point, just to even, you know, if you're listening right now, if you're sitting here, you're a part of this conversation, you're trying to figure out to do something different. You have to be, because if you were just operating on that autopilot, then you would not put yourself in spaces, whether it's virtual or with others, to even be exposed to a different kind of conversation. So you're trying to find out another plan, another option. So what I'm saying is right now, for anyone who happens to be listening, is you do have that luck. You have to figure out what it is that you want. And like you were saying, if you once you figure out what you want and what I mean what you want, and then that can always change. That's why I said it doesn't have to be your entire life. It could literally just be, what do you want for this year? And what I mean by what you want is not, and I don't want it to be something as, like, I just want a new car, whatever. It could just be literally entertain what it is that you really want. Is it time? Is it freedom of choice? Freedom to say, like, I want to be able to work in somewhere different, doing something different than what my grandfather did, what my dad did, etc. Like, is it the fact that you want to possibly make more money and you're not quite sure at this moment what that means? You just want to be able to have more so that way you don't have to worry about maybe where it's coming from next time. I don't know what everyone's individual want would be, but everyone kind of knows what it is initially, whether it's to have more fun and be able to be okay to have the means to cover that. Because the next part of that becomes, okay, once you figure out, like you said, the life that you want, you will need to seek help. And that's any of us. We do that in so many different ways. It could be by going to college because so-and-so went to school, I went to school. That's literally a way many of us sometimes do get our help. It could be a pastor. It could be a peer. It could be someone on the job. It could be someone within this space here. You never really know who's going to be the mentor in your life that's going to help you in the direction of the path that you decide that you need to go on.
I think it's phenomenal.
I do too. This has been actually exceptional. Chanel, I want to ask you this.
Yes.
For the, and I want to, let's talk to, if we can talk to both ends, because we just talked to, like Hassan said, we talked to that 2-year-old that is just trying to figure out, hey, how do I even begin this? Let's talk to that individual that's at the other end of that spectrum that might be in getting ready to enter retirement, or may even be in retirement, and says, hey, I need to figure, I'm trying to know what my next step will be in order to be able to, personally make sure that that I have a legacy that I built. I'm trying to make sure that I have something for when I'm no longer here, for my children or my children's children. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Absolutely. The biggest thing I noticed was just that a lot of us were not having the conversation of the importance to hold on to whatever assets we have to pass down to one another and make good of it. Like, there wasn't a conversation. And I find that happens just a lot in general. We will expect our 18-year-old who all the way up until they're 18 to know money and be able to be an adult. But literally up until the day they turn 18, anytime money or even bills or anything like that was discussed in the house, a lot of times it gets shut down with stay out of grown folks' business, right? Like, seriously. So, and that's, you were talking about how in other cultures and other, households and businesses, they get exposed to things at a lot younger age. A lot of times we are not invited into those rooms. We're not even exposed or sat down with our parents or such with the bills and everything like that. So even later in life, when the person's at the end, it is so important with even your adult children and adult family members, you just still sit down with them and show them, where's the paperwork, right? Where are things? Where are your insurance policies? Where are the deeds, if there are deeds? What are the passwords to some of your accounts, right? Because sometimes we're not going to, the banks may not work with you right away. And sometimes the death certificate takes a very long time for it to show up. So there's that. When you are at the later end of life, there's still some things that can still be done as far as, transferring wealth. You can gift, but, small certain amounts and have that be a tax-free transaction, sure. But the biggest thing I would say is making sure everyone is in the know about where to find all relevant information, but most importantly, that they understand that all the things that you worked for, try to keep it in the family. Don't sell it. A lot of, particularly land, I know a lot of us living here in Maryland, a lot of people help them to have farmland, either in the southern regions, Virginia, Southern Maryland, or sometimes in the Carolinas. And a lot of times people will sell the land. Little do they know they could either rented it, they could have rent it out to other croppers and still make money. Because I get it. I get that you're not a farmer. I totally get it. I get it. But you could have rented it out to other farmers and generated income off of that.
It is amazing you say that, right? My wife's family has some farm, right? And, we're Black farmers, right? So we got like 70 acres. Wow. And so in Virginia, they just legalize weed.
Boom.
So I got a team right now that's looking into how can we lease our land to cultivators.
Yeah. Congratulations, first off. That's amazing. And that's awesome. And that's what we have to start doing. We have to start realizing that you don't have to necessarily stay in mama's house, right? You don't have to stay in her house. I get it. You might not, you may feel a certain way emotionally about being in that house. You may not, like the neighborhood. I get it. Mm-hmm. But it could be a rental. I always tell people Baltimore is such gold. It's waterfront property. You do understand that, right? For a lot of us, like in other states in the country, they're amazed when they see us because they're like, "Oh my gosh, you live near the water," and it's like it's just the harbor. If only you saw it, right? But it's like, wow. But it's waterfront property. Really, it is, and that is a reason why they're trying so hard to attack us out of our neighborhoods. Trust me when I tell you, they want Baltimore back because they're trying to revitalize it and capitalize on it.
Can I make a comment?
Yes,
absolutely. Carl, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about having to talk about your end of life stuff.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of us right here, right now, still haven't talked to their parents. Mm-hmm. Which is a talk that you need to have. My brother and I already know everything that's going on with my mom. I knew what was going on when my dad passed, and it was smooth sailing the whole. And the only issue we had is stepchildren, and then we just pulled out his will.
Yep.
And that ended everything. And that's a conversation that I know. Unfortunately, I wasn't blessed with children, but I know that's something a lot of people need to have with their kids and nieces and nephews. But you really need to have that conversation with your mom and dad now, because in some situations, mom and dad haven't set anything up themselves.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring that up about where we are in our stage of life. It's not just passing down. We got to take care of us.
You're absolutely right, because what you don't want is you do not want, I'll circle back, make this local again. Maryland, a lot of Marylanders are, governmental workers and or military. It's a good significant portion of us, right? A lot of us have wonderful little pensions, and retirements. And what ends up happening is, again, like you said, if no one's talked about it, no one doesn't know who to contact, where to go. Again, this goes back to making sure the right name is on those accounts. So that way that, doesn't have to go through the courts. So, and like Carl said, basically make sure you do talk to your parents as well. This is not just, parents talking to you, but you talking to your parents as well, and making sure that they have things in order, making sure that sometimes at one time they may have had life insurance policy. Something could have happened to the policy, that for whatever reasons, it could have lapsed. So, just double check. Don't just assume like, oh yeah, she had life insurance. Like, I know she did like so many years ago, but now, we're getting to another age. So double check with them and just make sure, and make sure you see the policy. Make sure you see.
I actually had talking to a friend of mine, had an incident in which the family thought grandpa had all this money. Well, grandpa retired 20 years ago and grandpa went traveling. Grandpa spent a lot of his money on himself. So when he passed, he had what was left in the will to spread them out. And they were, you're lying, got into a whole he said, she said, until because all he had was like, I think his pension and insurance. He didn't have a full will. So the house and all that stuff was still up for grabs.
Wow. And that's one of the biggest.
Great points that I've heard so far. But one of the things also, we're talking about houses and everything else, but one of the key things too, and we're working on something with TLC right now, helping creating an automated template for a will. All right, or your last rites. And I mean, it's going to be even the simplest things of making sure that someone has access to your account, who's going to take over the apartment. And, because if grandma said that she was going to give you the house 10 years ago and you say something and there's no papers to substantiate it, you tie up the whole process. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that we know. You don't have to have a whole lot. Historically, we didn't pass down much. You know what I mean? A broken down Cadillac, a closet full of leisure suits, and that's about it. But now in the realm of where we are right now and we're creating wealth, all right, for our families and really understanding and capturing it, there's value within everything. I have a friend of mine, his father transitioned, and guess what? He's got a house full of antiques, but no one can touch them. That they're going to actually trash them. Okay. Oh. And see, that's when it's just the bank, when they're looking at numbers and they're not looking at energy. So that is one of the most important things that we have to really understand as a culture right now, that we are surpassed where we were before, that we have to realize that, guess what? This society is really not for us. All right. The systems are really not for us. But guess what? We're going to have to figure out a few angles to work around them. But at the same time, we need to create our own ecosystem. We do something with our social enterprise, our CSAC, and it's really giving the power to that 97%. Because the way that it's set up right now, the top 3% tells 97% what to do. And that don't sound right, because of all the 97% got to stick, who would be in charge? And see, that's what we're talking about. It's like a hostile takeover, but it's with ourselves, making sure that we share that money with ourselves, making sure that, we know the right things about financial literacy. Don't wait until someone's gone to have that strength enough to have that conversation with your family, but also for you to have the compassion to want to have that conversation, and you don't got to be 80 and blind, crippled, and crazy. You can do it while you're young and tender now. You know what I mean? So these are the things that are very important. How do you want to be blessed? Do you got to go in the dirt, or can we save a couple of dollars? You feel me? These are the
Who
things.
do you want there?
Yeah.
Who do you want there?
I already know that at my repast, everybody having steak, macaroni and cheese, and corn. That's like my favorite meal. I already know that's written.
That's how you want to be remembered. I mean,
yeah, that's written.
That's awesome.
I was talking with Ms. Conway, and we're going to get together and put something together. But I mean, even to the part of, who do you want to speak at your funeral? You know what I mean? Is it that
So-
one picture that you don't want nobody to ever see that might end up on your going home, all right, on your obituary? You know what I mean? So these are the things that are kind of like really important, and what happens makes it tangible with us as family.
I think one of the important things that we always forget, right? How many people here know how to play Monopoly? Everybody know how to play Monopoly, right? Okay, everybody wave. How many people know how to play Uno? Everybody wave, right? Do you play Uno? Do you use Uno rules when you play Monopoly? And if you do, can you win? So just think about it. Everybody else is playing Monopoly, and we're using Uno rules to play Monopoly, and we wonder why we're not getting where we want to be.
It's interesting.
We didn't make the game. We didn't make the game, but the rules are written.
Right.
The rules are written, and you can choose not to follow them. But then you're playing Uno in a Monopoly game.
Right.
All right, Chanel, I'm gonna give you the last word, and then we're gonna move to our next our member highlight, Brother Victor Ferguson, who's gonna come to us. And I mean, this conversation is rich, and I know he's gonna take us even further, because we're gonna talk about another aspect of wealth building strategy. So Chanel, I'm gonna give you the last word, and please give your contact information, and then I'd like to make sure that you put it in the chat so folks can definitely connect with you to put these wealth building strategies in place for everyone. Okay.
Okay. So I would say my last wealth building strategy is just to understand that, there are ways to build wealth quickly. There are ways that you can do it. And I know quick wealth, satisfy, today's need, right? But you, just like Monopoly, if you notice, everyone's given the same little bit of money at the beginning of the board, but it takes some time going around the board to pick up the properties first, then to buy the individual houses, and then you make it lucky where you get the different railroads. Those are like your businesses and the utilities and such, and then it takes some time to then get it up to a hotel and such, and all that takes time. If in my mind, when you're going around the board, just think of that as like years. It takes sometimes to amass massive wealth. It does take time. It doesn't have to necessarily be a significant amount of time, but it will take time, and that's okay. That is literally how most people who have significant amount of wealth accumulate it in their lifetime, right? And the biggest part is we need to protect it as we go on to the next, as everyone has talked about. Protect it by what you do today, and then also making sure that those who are going to receive it later understand the importance of taking care of it for tomorrow. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and talk about these these wealth building strategies and the things that we can do from a personal perspective in order to be able to have our legacies and to be able to have things in order while we're here. And the importance of that, and then the structure and looking at not a budget, but would you say what would you call it?
A spending plan.
A spending plan, not a budget, but a spending plan. If y'all take nothing else, you would come away from here having a spending plan, not a budget from here. So Chanel, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we want to transfer to our member highlight. And this brother, he's going to come to us and be able to talk to us a little bit more in terms of wealth building strategies. And Brother Victor, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to everyone. Tell us a little bit about who you are and everything like that. And then I'm gonna let you have the mic and be able to talk about what your ideals of the wealth building strategies and how you're gonna come with us about what you do, and then how that ties into the wealth building strategies that you implement.
Okay, absolutely. So my name is Victor Ferguson. Like I was saying before, I'm from Augusta, Georgia. Came here a while back. So what I do is Optimal Wellness Community. Well, first of all, I want to really thank Chanel for what she was saying. I think it's super huge to think about these things and have like a spending plan based upon what you want. And I think really being able to get in touch with yourself and knowing what that want is helps you to be able to fulfill those desires. Because it's not about just taking care of your bills and what you need. It's about being able, like you're a whole free thinking human. Like you can actually have what you want as opposed to just taking care of needs and living just above those means. Like go for what you want and think about that number and get that number, make it happen. But so what I do, I really have this system based upon my organization called Optimal Wellness Community that helps to facilitate optimal wellness. What it is, it's called the 8 Pillars of Wellness. And this right here is kind of like a gateway to be able to have a balanced bridge. You know how we were talking about foundation earlier? The 8 pillars help with those foundations to be able to have something to stay, keep you afloat and keep you balanced within that. So these 8 pillars include mental, because the mind is everything, of course, the way you interpret, the way you project, that really determines your reality. Emotions, because emotions are very powerful. And I mean, if you use your emotions correctly, then you can really be a powerful force, such as like Malcolm X. Malcolm X had a whole lot of fire and anger in him. And it wasn't until he got the discipline of studying with the Nation of Islam that he was really able to make that impact. He became a benign, fire-breathing dragon of change and discipline for his people. So that's him being able to utilize his emotion. Also, if we don't have any kind of control over our emotions, they can really lead to imbalance, damaged relationships, jail time, death, all kind of things. So emotional intelligence is huge. Nutrition, because making sure what you take in helps how your body operates. So being at optimal performance is a whole level of wealth in itself, because your health is wealth, and all these things about your health also. But spiritual, I think spiritual is important because you have to have faith in something. I actually had an ex-wife that really didn't grow up in the church, and it was funny how little bit of faith that she had, and it was almost like her lack of faith kind of brought down what I was able to manifest and create. It was almost like it's like she was working against me within my own house. So that wasn't fun. But just being able to garner faith, and whether it be a higher power outside of yourself, or force moving through you, or just in things that you want to have happen, like practicing that faith is super important. Next, we go into physical, making sure your physical body's right. The more you're able to have the endurance to stay up, stay awake, stay attuned, be sharp, and just not be tired, because your body works well, the more you're going to be able to get done, the better you're going to be able to show up. So I have this whole ideology, like opportunity is generally a small window, so you have to be nimble to be able to get through that window. So you have to make sure your body can maneuver as it needs to, quick and evasive. Next, there's occupational. Occupation is anything you give your time and energy to that has significant meaning. So this could be, maybe volunteering. This could be your job, of course. This could be horseback riding. But these things that really give you your life meaning. These are a lot of where your wants go. And a lot of people have experienced burnout because they're like, oh, it's all about having wealth, money, but they're not doing the things that really satisfy their soul and make them happy. It's not things they really want to do. So really making time and balancing out some of what you want, what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and also roles, like such as a father or a son to some parents that don't see you enough, making sure you have the time and the scheduling skills to be able to properly show up for those roles. Next, we have social. Communication runs the nation, as most of the slick folks in Chicago say, and it's super true. You're not going to be able to communicate who you are, boundaries, your desires, your wants, whatever, to anybody if you don't know how to communicate. And communicating in conjunction with the emotions of having confidence really gets you to open up doors and be places that you might not have been able to if you were shy, or you didn't have the right words to share, or you weren't eloquent, or every time you open up your mouth, you said the word nigga. Which, I do a lot of kids, so that happens a lot. And I'm like, hey guys, listen, I understand that's how you talk, but right here, this is a professional place. Anytime you're in a professional place, you have to learn how to turn it off. And then when you go back outside, you can turn it back on as much as you want to, but you have to work on turning it on and turning it off. You have to code switch because, from the others looking in, you become just another one. If you're talking like you're just another one. So social and communication is important. Last is economical/financial. I don't have to say anything about that because Chanel just killed it. But these 8 pillars really allow you to be able to have that holistic balance. And really, once again, health is wealth. Like, and being able to have the tools to put things in the context of where you're out of balance or where you need that help is important. So just really kind of keeping these in mind can be vital to your success and your happiness. So what I do with my organization, if I come into corporations, churches, I do workshops, but what I like to do is go in and have sessions like every other week on the different pillars, and us really have dialogue and get into it, break it down, find out different axioms of truth around these different pillars and how we want to move forward as a community. Be able to build these communities up, tether them together around reinforcing healthy, positive lifestyles so that they can move forward powerfully, especially around like cooperative economics. When people are in a space where they know what it is that you do, they know how to support you, they know how they can promote you, like we can be a real force. So to be able to have these replicated in different places and then have certain events or something like that, such as the food truck fair, whatever, and then invite everybody there and be like, oh yeah, this is another one of our events that come with a wellness lifestyle, So that's my aspiration. I call them optimal wellness communities. I'm actually building one. I don't know if anybody lives in Charles Village, but I'm having a session starting March 3rd with Charles Village Benefit District. And what we're doing, we're appointing block captains. So, if you live in that area, and we are thinking about becoming a block captain, please let me know before March 15th. That's the deadline, and we can see about enrolling you in that so you can have the whole optimal wellness experience because they already paid for it. But I've been doing this through I'm really trying to work on doing it from the top down. So I've been working with just different people that district leaders, talking to Learman, that I had invited some people out that's running for the comptroller. She's actually over like District 24, I think it is. But yeah, so that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. And I've been working with the kids too. Let me tell you about that. So I've been working with the kids right now. The kids version, I call it the SOW, which stands for Students of Wellness. Instead of the pillars of wellness, I call them seeds because we water those seeds until they grow up to be natural pillars that they can actually set themselves on and level themselves out on. So that's what I do. This is who I am. Any other questions? Here I am. Yep. Anybody?
Absolutely, Brother Victor. Thank you so much. Just really quickly, I don't know if anybody had any questions really quick for Brother Victor in terms of the pillars. I love those 8 pillars. If you can put those in the chat, that'd be excellent. And then if you can don't forget to put your contact information in the chat as well too, so that people can connect with you, especially about the Black Captain event as well too.
Hey, Victor.
Hassan?
Victor.
Yes, sir.
So I'm always consistent. So I want to know what's the gateway to what your to your 8 pillars, right? Obviously, it's a journey, and a person that goes on that journey will be able to see all or experience all 8 of those items. But if you experience that 2-year-old, what's the first thing? What will be the first thing or the item that would get that 2-year-old to change their behavior to get involved in your pillars?
I think it all starts with the mind. I actually have an acronym. The acronym, oh, you're gonna like this. Acronym is actually men's pose, which is, I just call it like pose of confidence, like, kind of like the Da Vinci thing. Men's pose, M, mental, emotional, nutritional, spiritual, physical, occupational, social, economical, right? But I think really starting off with the mind is necessary. So maybe doing certain exercises to develop some kind of critical thinking, or just develop the why, a habit of asking why, and going deeper, I think is what I would start off with. Because from there, you know, that's something that they can always take the different context to become more knowledgeable about, you know, and also to not get kind of just sedated with authority. I think that sometimes somebody's like, oh, well, I'm the authority on this. And, you know, they got their degree maybe like 20 years ago. And maybe you've read like 10 new books on the subject matter, and you might know more than them, but because they have this degree, you submit your logic and your will to this person in authority. So I think really being a learned critical thinker is how I would start.
Got my mic.
Thank
My mic is muted. Absolutely. So, brother Hassan, I know you left me a message. I don't know if you had to hop off or if you were going to hang on for a bit, because I wanted to have our third part of our trilogy tonight that we got going on. Brother Victor, having you go after Sister Chanel that just knocked it out of the park, and you giving the holistic aspect of it is what I really loved about it. And then he jumped away. So I was hoping he was gonna pop back in, but as soon as he comes back, we're gonna have Brother Terrence go. So Hassan, I don't know if you hop on really quick, because I know you said you were.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, you know, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about today, right? And actually, Leroy, you came on my heart today. And I wanted to say this publicly, right? You know, I wanted to thank you for what you have done to the general body meeting. And I realized that you had to grab or snatch this meeting from the hands of the executive body board, right? But because you did that, you was able to have the necessary force to make it your own. And I feel like where Black professional men is, that's what it takes, right? If you are a Black professional man and you want to be able to get success, you have to take everything that you want. There's nothing that's going to be given to you, right? And because you put the necessary force into this process to be able to take it from us, you was able to put your own footprint or your own fingerprint on our meeting. And the meetings have been phenomenally better than they've been in a very long time. So I just wanted to take this moment to thank you for providing this leadership to make this particular meeting what it is today. And so that's one of the things I wanted to share. And so I know I may say that in private, but I wanted to kind of say that in public to let everybody know that everything you see, none of the executive board has anything to do with. This is 100% Leroy. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Leroy. And this is his vision, and he has nurtured this. And so I want you to take this opportunity to use this as an example for other men that this is what you want to be able to do in the organization, right? You want to be able to take what you want to take take it by force, because he did snatch it out of us, and it ruffled a few feathers, right? But it was all in good spirit. But he took it with force and made it his own. And sometimes it takes that amount of pressure to do something like that. And so every action has a reaction. And so a lot of us are hard-headed and we're stuck in our ways and we're cemented where we are. And you can say, hey, excuse me, pardon me. That's not going to get it. You have to raise your voice, make sure that you're known, make sure that you're recognized, that you're here, and that you're taking over. And I just want to take this opportunity to recognize Leroy for taking over our general body meeting and making it, the success that it is. Now, with Black professional men, one of the great things that we do is we help people make their goals a reality. How do we do that? What we do is that we analyze what your goal is, but we also analyze what everybody's goals are, and we align the necessary people together, and we help them be able to do more with less. And so just this week, we've been approached by a lot of different entities, right? And one of the things I asked Ms. Simmons to kind of stay on, because we've been, just this afternoon, I had a conversation with a young lady. I want to say it's called Takeover Tuesdays that she does, whereas that she works with people who are given a second chance. And they need mentors, they need all these particular things. But what I told them what they need is they need an opportunity to provide them a path to get to where they want to get to on their own with support, right? On their own with support. And so what that means is that we want to be able to align other people's goals with what they're doing that align with it, but is at a certain level, whereas that they may not need to see what everybody is doing, but they can experience and witness the benefit of what everybody is doing, and everybody can share in the energy. So in short, what I have proposed to her, and it's great that we got Brother Terrence on the line, because this is going to tie into the conversations that we've had, is that we're going to have it where these individuals are able to have a day zero or zero process. That zero process would be they will have to clean the outside areas of local businesses to be able to show that they want to be able to get into this program. By them doing that, is going to establish relationships with these businesses. So when these individuals get to the point where their emotional intelligence is there, their skills are there, they can now go back to these small businesses and say, hey, I have the skills to be able to help you increase your profitability through human capital. And so it's a secular piece of it. Now, what we also want to be able to do is not just give these individuals an opportunity to generate money, but we want them to have the opportunity to do something with that money. And that's what I think Ms. Simmons' piece of this will be so critical, is because these youth or people who have given a second chance, they don't have the necessary mindset to understand that, okay, if I put this money in this account, I can come back in 3 years and now borrow off of that account. And I don't have to go to a check cashing place to get, money in a hurry. But it's those small pieces of nuggets that where we will be able to instill in them. Now, we also understand that sometimes it takes the right vessel to get the information to them. So whereas men may be a little bit harsh with how we deliver our message, our queens may be able to make it where it's a little bit more digestible. So that is the example of what Black professional men do. We make goals a reality that helps everybody. Now, I keep a 30,000 foot view, and that allows me to see the future and the past. And because of that, I'm able to learn from the past and project the future to better help the present. But within the organization, there's people at all different levels. And just like Leroy, he's a ground general. So he's able to be on the ground and still provide that leadership so that the information that I have at 30,000 feet, I'm able to send down to him and other men and partners, and they're able to do more with that information. And we're able to do more with less. And so we're going to have a lot of things that are that's going to be happening over the next few months. The most critical piece of that is the food truck initiative. With this food truck initiative, what we will be able to do is very simple. Okay, we're going to be able to help small Black restaurants be able to increase their profitability. Excuse me. We're going to be able to help neighborhoods that don't have fine cuisine or a lot of cuisine options, provide them the ability to get better food at a reasonable rate. We're going to be able to help nonprofits increase their avenues to raise funds. We're going to be able to provide people who need skills and need opportunities to gain skills, those opportunities to do those things and be able to put food on the table for their homes. And we're going to be able to do all of that in an extremely simple manner of accomplishing everybody's goals. And with that, I say thank you for the time. And I know that we got Brother Terrence waiting in the win. But I do want to thank everybody for coming out. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with us. So I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that, and there's a lot of things that BPM has going, and our mission that we keep in front of us is to secure the future of the African American male. And we can't do that if we aren't doing these things, and especially pouring into those that next generation that's coming behind us, and then those that we're forward to make sure that the ones that are in front of us are taken care as well. So I'm not gonna waste any more time. If y'all don't know this brother, y'all need to know this brother. And if you haven't been to one of his establishments, Terra Cafe, y'all don't know what y'all missing, because the food is just absolutely outstanding. And that jerk garden is off the chain as usual also. But he's here tonight to talk about the business aspect of wealth building strategies. His TLC consulting is just a great concept, a great organization that's put together to be able to help us as a community to be able to develop and promote and push forward entrepreneurs and doing great things. So Brother Terrence, I'm gonna give you the mic and let you do what you do, brother. You're mute.
Go. Peace, everybody. Good evening. Always great to be in the room with great people. You know what I mean? It's encouraging. It's not a whole lot of people out here that really see the vision of where Black people are and what we need to do and the sacrifice that we need to get there. So it's always great to be. And I'm humbled, Leroy, that you invited me just to share a little bit about Terraloft Consulting. As I introduced myself at the beginning, Terrence Dixon, also known as Chef T. Terra Cafe. We've been on the corner of 25th and St. Paul for 12 years, 3 months, 9 days, 17 hours, and about 13 minutes, but I'm not counting, you know, and you see the remnants of it every day. You know, the things that we've been talking about so far in reference to building wealth in our community, being accountable, making sure that we control the narrative of where we're going. You know, those are the things that are really forefront now for, I think, everybody. You know, through this COVID, we've seen that, guess what? Nobody's coming. You know, COVID has pushed us back a few hundred years in reference to where it could have pushed us further. But what will happen is this: we'll always thrive and survive in everything. So one of the key things that we've been focusing on with Terraloft Consulting is really showing business how to put the basic structure together. You know, my 20 years on this corner here, I've helped maybe about 25 or 30 Black businesses throughout the storefronts to be awesome. Okay. Success is measured in so many different ways. But the one thing of being able to actually exercise your dream and support your community, it's all of it. You know, it doesn't get any deeper than that. And what we've been doing is helping over the years of me being in business, I realized, guess what? Through scars and not stars, not Googling it and looking for it, but actually living it, is that there's 7 things that you really need to be successful in business. And 9 times out of 10, when we start businesses, we start with a lot of myths. We start with the myth that, hey, you got 5 years to be in business and you can deduct everything and you make no money and this, that, and the other. That's crazy. You know, if you're in business 5 years and then you go to borrow some money to actually buy the building that you were renting for 5 years, they're going to look at you like you're crazy because you didn't show any profit. All right. The key to the game is get in and play the rules and get out. All right. So making sure you have your proper business structure. And that's something we've been helping businesses with, you know, and giving them the understanding. I heard you mention earlier about budgeting, you know, at the beginning of the season, small things. If you made 60,000 last year and it was 8,000 and it was $5,000 in taxes, guess what? You say you're going to make more this year. Let's take that money that you're projecting to make. Let's figure out that tax formula, what's going to happen. And then let's put a little bit aside, okay? Because what we do at TLC, we have a bamboo program. We're the technical assistant for Baltimore Community Lending. And they invited us in to really, you know, make sure the businesses know what they're doing, you know, making sure they have an account and make sure they have a business account, make sure that their LLC and everything is straight and that they have the autonomy of what to do in business. But also in that capacity, I found other opportunities for us. I found the opportunities of really funding, okay? One of the things that we talked about, and you know, you talked earlier about in reference to how to get some cash real quick and go sell stuff in your house and put that money away. And then I heard also that, you know, we have these brothers work in our communities and we pay them and teach them how to put that money away. The one thing is this, that we've never been able to get that much money in our community, all right? It's always been put something on it. You haven't been able to put nothing away. So whatever we needed, we had to just put something on it. We couldn't pay the whole BG&E bill, you put something on it. The water bill, you put something on it. Groceries, we get that next week. But what we have to do is really get to the point where we're actually making money, okay? You can't save water. Like my father told me, guess what? You can't fill no cement hole with water. You have to put it with substance. So by having the proper business structure and understanding, like during COVID here, so many people chased the free money that it was ridiculous. Okay. And it got him nowhere. It got him into the part where they were emotional. We had the piece at the beginning and the brother talked about the mental psyche of business and what's going on. And especially, guess what? If you're in Baltimore City, you know what? This is a war zone. You know, it's like you're Agent Orange is here because we're dealing with it every day, the trauma. Okay. And yet still trying to make something out of make some kind of a sense out of what's going on in our community. As you see more and more money come in, as you see more and more development, and you hear all these great things, but guess what? We're never at the party, okay? So the concept of being at the table, one of the things that we've come up with is CSAC. We don't want to be at the table no more because when you get to the root of it, guess what? We created the table and we are the legs of the table. But what happens with our social enterprise, which is something that we do, all right? And not only just teaching the concept of business of structure, okay? But really the concept of business of us working together is more important than anything else, all right? Of training people to be very supportive of their community. You know, when you look at other nationalities, guess what? If you're, I've had friends that are Indian, they only go to the Punjab. If they run out of bread in the middle of the week and they go to the Punjab on Friday, guess what? They don't have any bread. They're not going to give you their money, okay? And these are the things that we have to actually teach our businesses to do and people to do. But one of the key things we have to do is we have to make the businesses strong so that they can do it, so they can provide proper service, so they can have proper structure, you know, that they have legal consultants, they have a great accountant, all right? That they're planning for growth. you know, and it's intentional, everything that they do, that they don't just have a bank account. And these are the things that we teach with TLC, that you don't just have a banking account, you're intentionally looking for someone to have a relationship with. All right. You're letting them know that, hey, you know, in 2 years, I'm going to buy the building, that I choose not to sharecrop anymore. Okay. And I'm with someone. That's the key thing with the social enterprise, is that you're not by yourself. You're with a community of people that are awesome, okay, that are like-minded and that are looking to build community, you know? So these are the things that have come about during this time. And in the wealth building is it's so important. You know, we have to build the structure of the businesses, bottom line, because there's some things that are always going to be there. We know that death and what? Taxes. Uncle Sam ain't playing. Okay. So if you know that he's coming, let's prepare ourselves. One of the things I had such a hard time convincing people to listen. Here I am, do this little certification that I got, and I can get you $150,000. Okay. Do this little certification. And when you get to the point you want to buy the building, we get you $1.4 million. Yo, nobody at Bank of America is saying it. Nobody at PNC. M&T might talk about it. And Harbor Bank, we're working on them to talk to some people about it. But in reality, that's right here now and tangible. But we're so mind blocked on that we don't have the right business structure, that we can't put it together, that we actually scratch ourselves out before we even get started. So with TLC, what we actually share with you is all of this, okay? We have programs. We partner with Santa Clara University in California, which those that are not familiar, they do all the major training for Silicon Valley, okay? So we have a program with them, Bamboo Project. And what it does is consists of about maybe 14 modules. It's really about 19 altogether. We actually look at all of them. And with this certification, okay, and you grabbing 3 months of bank, check this out. Take one hand up. Everybody put one hand up. Certification. All right, guys, one finger. 3 months, 2 months of bank statements. Okay. Your business bank account. Your LLC and corporation paperwork, and a business plan that has a performer attached to it. All right. Guess what? You just talked about, you got $140,000 in your hand right now. That's what you just did. Okay. And if you have the business and you have an idea of real estate that appraises outright, in that same hand, you just put $1.4 million. But guess what? The challenge that we have in our community is that because I look like me, okay, and I do not look like Mr. Leibowitz, okay, and I do not wear the Brooks or the suit, okay, all right, I'm not accepted. But the crazy part is this, is that I've created 2 Jewish millionaires and 1 Greek millionaire. They didn't look like me, but they listened to me, okay, all right. Now, see, that's fact, that's not fiction, all right. So, I mean, these concepts that I have are the ones, it's what, you know, but one thing is this, is that within our culture, we've gotten to the point where we've gotten a learned behavior, how people have dealt with us and how they do business with us. Okay. And it does not work. It's dysfunctional. They rob from us. When you see a corner store in the Baltimore City community, if you don't know, you ride by them, you laugh at them, you say they're dirty, and they come all the way down here, whatever, they coming out for cake. The average corner store off of your EBT makes anywhere from maybe $1.4 million to about maybe 2.2. That's with the orange card, baby. That's with the orange card. We're not talking about the new parts. We're not talking about the blunts that they sell in our community. We're not talking about the fatty foods or the grease or the stuff that they don't sell, you know, that don't hit the card, the toilet paper, 1 roll for $1.50. Okay. We're not talking about any of that. Okay. So, I mean, these are the parts of where they come. And then on top of it, they own the building. Check this out. All of Baltimore, they're all fleeting right now. Okay. If you notice, all the corners within Baltimore City, within our community, are for sale, because that was the buying strategy for the Korean community, that they bought all of the corners. Think about it. All right. When they bought those corners, they only took possession of the actual commercial space on the first floor. The other 2 floors that were residential, which mean that they would have to have a buy-in to the community, they boarded them up. So the one thing that I ask is that when you think about business, okay, Do you intentionally lose money on purpose? Would you intentionally not want to collect $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month by fixing apartments upstairs and renting to them? All right. Or you had no intention for that community to grow. All right. And as we go through these conversations right now, there's a great article today that talked about the problems that Black restaurants have in Baltimore City. I had it last year. I collected over 3,000 signatures. Okay. I had a mixture of white, black, purple, plaid, from 8 to 80, blind, crippled, and crazy. But we had one concept in hand, was that we actually love jazz music. And it was the caveat for us to have conversations. So you would have things that it would never happen. You would have a 70, 80-year-old white flutist talking to a 15-year-old saxophone player. You feel me? Black saxophone player. So maybe that changed the narrative when they got on the subway, or maybe when they got in an elevator, instead of clutching their pocketbook, they would just say, hey, back. Okay, feel me? This is the way that we need to change the narrative. And this is what social enterprise is about. This is what about being in decency and order with our business structure is about, okay? And also accountability. We have a lot of folks in position within Baltimore City that look like us and really don't give a damn, okay? And enough is enough, okay? Bobo the Fool is gone. And the one thing is this, if you think that it is bad in Baltimore now, okay? For those that don't know, did anybody know what the Alice report is? Anybody know what the Alice report is? The Alice report is a gauging of poverty. You understand poverty. When you see those kids on the news late night and they're just trying to hit your pockets and walking with no food, no water, and flies and whatever, that's poverty. So guess where we sit in Baltimore City? When I sat on the mayor's council transition meeting, all right? The average is about 15 to 20 cents throughout the US, but they'll never tell you that, all right? And the way that that's determined is that whether or not you have the ability to really take care of yourself. You feel me? So if you took all of your government aid away from people, your Section 8, your pension, not your pension, but you know what I mean? Anything that you got from the government, WIC, all right? Okay, the child care vouchers, all right? If you took all that away, would you be able to survive? And if you were not able to feed yourself, that means you're on the level of poverty. Within Baltimore City, and they breezed over it. That's why you know that they intentionally do not care for us. That's why intentionally that we have to get our business structure together and stop playing, okay? All right, Baltimore, which they grouped the county, was about 28%, and I was blown away because at that point we were about maybe anywhere from 13 to about 8% more than what the national was doing across the board. But when they got to Baltimore, right up on the Baltimore, which was the county, they had Baltimore City with a little parentheses. And when I saw it, I stopped the meeting because I read it and nobody else said anything, and it kind of really hurt me. It said 85.7% Baltimore City. So 85.7% of Baltimore City lives below the poverty level. Did you know that? And when you talk about the dynamics of 75% of Baltimore City is Black, and Baltimore City has had almost $1 billion for aid within Baltimore City during COVID. They've released over, the one disbursement blew me away when they gave away $50 million and not one hit one Black institution nowhere in town. How the hell you do that and you got a Black mayor's office? And y'all not burning this monster down. I mean, these are the things that our kids are gonna inherit. You might be good right now with your Volvo and your BMW, but how much do you love your baby for leave them in this kind of environment? I don't know. I know I walk around and the one thing that I preach is real easy, is that our elders are looking at us and saying, what are we doing with what they left us? Understand they marched a lot, they sacrificed a lot, and we lost a lot. Then you have those that are our age that are looking around and say, yo, what's the game? What are you doing? Hey, how you handling your business? Is it always at the jump off every Friday night with a new outfit? All right. And doing the stinky leg. And then you got our youth. Our youth is saying, what are you leaving us? You want to know why the streets of Baltimore are on fire? Because of us. All right. We haven't earned that peace yet in reference to real respect because our communities are not growing and flourishing. And they're coming in, they're putting in bike lanes, they're creating all this green. We don't need more green. We don't need more green space. What the Black community need is green. Uh-oh. Did it stop? All right, there you go. Y'all stop for a minute now.
Yeah, because you were frozen. Yeah, go ahead.
All
go
right,
ahead.
what the Black community need now is more green. All right, we don't need any more bike rack. Who got a bike lane? Shoot, ain't nobody got no time to ride no bike. Got to make this money so we can pay that BG and get them food. All right. So, I mean, these are the conscious things that we have to really hold in our hand. And with a social enterprise of CSAC, it gives you that power. And the strange thing is happening all over. We've been on it for about 2 years right now. All right. We've taken the front lead and we've actually taken control for the state of Maryland. All right. We're in conversation with the University of Baltimore right now that they're asking what have we done so far? Because when they went to national told them they had to speak to us. How about that? You feel me? So the one thing is this, is that when you look at a social enterprise and all that I've been talking about, it really has to come from us. All right. I have resources. Okay. I know others do too, but I grow by helping other people grow. Understand, I don't get anything really from it. Nothing. All right. All right. But I get to know that, guess what? I'm making my community a better place for not only my kids, but the other 200 kids that I'm responsible for in Baltimore City that I've mentored. You feel me? And those families that we're attached to. Okay. And the one thing that I look at right now, this is the time. Okay. There's a lot of white guilt money out on the street. So if you get your business structure together, all right, and it's quicker than what you think, guess what? They just want you breathing now. So guess what? If you can get some bread and you can get a building and you can have legacy, that's what we're talking about tonight. How do we build wealth? Okay. You have all so many things that are just really in my mind. Guess what? Maybe I'm just a little old school. I was born in the country. I was born in a house in South Carolina. All right. I wasn't being born in no hospital. We didn't have running water until I was about 13 or 14. And I remember white only and black water, colored water faucets. I remember had to eat outside. Okay. But the one thing I know is that, guess what? I don't need to remember all that. And that's still going on today. It's just a different form. Okay. The limitations that we have in Baltimore City, all right, because we do not have our business structure together. And guess what? People are surprised that we don't. When I'm working with the Baltimore Boost program, and as these businesses came in to the fold and they were introduced to white landlords in the city of downtown, okay, they didn't understand that we didn't have that structure, okay, and they still tried to handle us. So if we do not own the bricks, if we do not have the right business structure, they coming to get you. I don't care how much money you got. Wesley Snipes, Red Fox, come on, baby. And they like them. So what you think they're gonna do with you when you don't get your business together? And I mean, these are the important parts that we actually have to have that conversation about, okay? I've been on hiatus a little bit. You'll see a hell of a lot more of me now because I look at that it's all or nothing, okay? All right. Right now, at this point, with the funding that is put out and how we're doing, if we think about the Pennsylvania market versus the Lexington market, okay, it's a big difference. The same person is managing it. The same person has a budget for it. But guess what? You mean you couldn't afford a few crews, a couple of dollars? You got 4 vendors in there. One's black, 3's Korean. Where we at? Okay. When are we going to be tired? All right. We're going to start by getting our business together and making them strong. Okay. And it's going to take a little bit. An accountant like you, it's going to take you a little bit. It's going to take you being a mentor. And maybe you're only going to get half rate at the beginning. But what will happen is you'll formulate a relationship and you'll create something because it'll create a like-mindedness. So that one that you help will bring you 2 or 3 more. And it'll be an agape love. And that's how we're going to change the narrative. And that's what wealth building is about. We talked about it's not just wealth, it's health, it's wealth, and it's community. And thank you so much. My name is Terrence Dixon. I'm the lead at Terraloft Consulting. I am excited to be Black, and I shoot for Black awesome. Thank you so much.
Brother Terrence, you never disappoint, brother. If you can put your contact information in the chat there for TLC Consulting. If for those that aren't familiar with it, it is an excellent program. I've gone through it myself. It is absolutely phenomenal. And it is that business aspect that we need in our community in order to be able to move us to that next level, to that next step. Having our affairs, our affairs in order, be able to impact the community. So, Brother Terrence, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for coming in. Sister Chanel, thank you. Yeah.
And if I could, Toby, I just wanted to share one more thing, if I could. You know, I'm real shy, so I'm thankful that y'all allowed me to speak. All right. But what I wanted to share was that I have Brooke Lehman at the cafe tomorrow. Okay. All right. It's time for us to really get what we need. And that season is here. You're not going to avoid it. All right. The politicians are coming. All right. They got bag full of lies. All right. So I think that, you know, the key for us is to give a host to everybody, see what they're talking about, and get that commitment. One of the things that I share with people during this season is that they're going to promise you everything, but ask, what are they doing for you now? And what have they done already? Because guess what? Once you get elected, you don't get this box from Amazon. They got a cape in it and a shirt with an S on the front. Nah, you need to give me my work now. You need to be attached to my community now, or it don't matter. You know what I mean?
What's the time on
that? She's hanging out tomorrow from 6 to about 7, real light and easy. She's running for the controller. You know, Peter Franco is running for governor. All right. You know, but one thing is this, we got to listen to everybody, got to make sure that we actually get our piece now. All right. And the commitment, and no more lies. And guess what? If you ain't never did nothing for me, I ain't even really worried about you. And one of the things that with my Thriving Thursday is that I share with everybody when you come, guess what? You have to come intentionally Black. Okay. Come to our space. You're coming intentionally Black. I want to hear Black data. I want to hear about my community. I don't want to hear about minorities because I'm not none. When you dissect that pie, that's a real skinny pie, baby. All right. Because when you cut that pie out, first thing, you're going to cut it in half. You're going to cut it up LGBT. You're going to cut that pie in half. Okay. Then you're going to cut it in half again. All right. You have everybody that's not a white male. All right. Then you're going to cut it in half again. Everybody that's not a Black male. So when you get to the end of it, you only got about like 5-6% of Black male. All right. And if that's the head of a community, you mean that's the head of a community you give? You know what I mean? So one of the key things in reference to us is really focusing back on our family. That's what I'm saying about community, because without each other, we can't do it. And they've separated us. They've separated the Black man from the Black woman. All right. Guess what? You know, Black men, we know we can't do it without them. Okay. All right. Because that's our encouragement.
I do want to do the shameless plug, right? I want to do a shameless plug, right? So when I always say I want to take one for the team, right? And I want to be able to use the resources of the organization so that other people can understand how to use them. So, Brother Terrence, can you please let people know what I did in 2019 with my wife? We came and saw you. We came and sat down and talked to you about what she needs to do.
Yeah.
And what you gave her is what we're still using today.
Yo, humbly and thank you. You know, and I you know what, I'm so proud of you, because a lot of times is that, you know, I'll share everything. And the only thing that I'm looking for is just someone to come back great. And you guys came back great, because even to the part of the vegan donut that we shared, that was going to be the big hitter. And y'all looked at me like, what do you mean vegan donut? You can't have no donut. You got to need a butter and everything else. And you got to, no, vegan donut. And it's mean. It's soft. It's squishy. They figured out how to make a vegan donut that was squishy. We talked about applesauce. We talked about so many different things. And I mean, that's where it comes in. You know what I mean? You know, where they were just awesome enough to come in and were willing to sit down with a fresh sheet of paper. All right. With a fresh new idea and canvas. And now what? It's a hitter. Come on, man. Remember, I get in the limo, right? I want a window seat. I don't want to be squished up all in. I want a window seat in the limo. That's all I say. All right. But thank you. And guess what? These stories are all over the city with so many different awesome people. I think that we all have them. But the one thing is this, is that it's not about the lead. It's about the pack. And that's what we have to get to. You know, we can take the old analogy that crabs in a bucket that are pulling each other down. No, they're not. Don't let people lie to you. All right. The crabs are trying to get all at the same damn time. Okay. So if we get to the point where we can get this whole concept of getting through the door and nailing it open, all right, of whoever can get through, I don't care, whoever get through, let's score. All right. And then let's score as a community. That's what the key is. So I mean, Terraloff Consulting TLC, we're definitely banging. We're definitely pushing it out there. Okay. And we're gonna put it on the road. The one thing is this: I don't think the greatness is gonna be for here in Connecticut, in Maryland. I mean, I'm getting calls from Connecticut, all right, North Carolina, all right, Texas, Miami, okay, and they want to know what we're doing, okay, and that's what we want to bring. You know, that's the vision, is that we have all of this, all of this thing. Because guess what? Malcolm and Martin said it. If you can change the mindset of the Negro in Philly and Baltimore, you would change the mindset of the Negroes over the world. That's how power we got here, family. And once again, I say thank you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Again, I say thank you.
Thank you. So I want to thank Brother Victor again, Sister Chanel. Thank you again so much. Yeah, I mean, it was just all of this tonight came together. Brother Terrence, thank you again too. But Brother Victor, thank you so much for all that you all shared tonight. This conversation is one that won't be the last. It can't be the last one that we have, because it's vitally important that we have a wealth building strategy, not just from a, like we said, a financial perspective, but from that holistic standpoint, business, personal, all of that together, in order to be able to make the community better. That's the only way that happens. So Hassan, did you have any closing words, and then we'll close it down for you.
Everything matters. Everything matters, right? Ms. Simmons, you're sitting here because about 4 years ago, Brian Owes went to Toastmasters and got a bug and created Black Speakers Network. And now you're here. Everything matters. Every piece is connected. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We thank y'all for hanging in tonight. This has been absolutely phenomenal. We appreciate you all. We will be here next month in April as well. The second Wednesday of each month. We're here from 6 to 8 is what we do. We'll have another topic that we'll be able to discuss and that we'll go into, in addition to our original topics that we cover with the book club and the mastermind. This was the mastermind in and all of itself tonight too. So the whole thing was a mastermind. So we thank y'all for coming out. We thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see you all next month. We appreciate you all. Have a good evening.
Peace.